I'm sorry, Mr. Jones. I think given the circumstances, another company could serve you better. As I said this calmly, even though I was actually quite ticked off. The way he had spoken to my best CSR, my really person who loved being a dispatcher, and my best tech, most experienced, I braced myself for the blowback that I felt was going to be coming. But instead, he apologized profusely and begged us to reschedule the call and allow him to get back into our good graces. Now, normally I would say yes, except this was not the first time, but one of many times where he was abusive, not to one person, but to everyone. So I stuck with the advice I had learned about when I had to break up with a girlfriend that I knew it wasn't going to work out. And I went with the stock line, "It's not you, it's me." But really, it was them. So I invited him to, again, to go hire and likely abuse somebody else's company, my competition, without being so clear about what that was. So really, it was a case of this customer had already burned the bridge. So why not just take his money? Because Mr. Jones was not my customer. He was among the 5% of my customers that caused me 90% of my aggravation problems and was really destroying the culture. We were on a mission to move these people out, and he was destroying something that I would not tolerate. I wasn't going to let it happen. You know, after all, I had always told my staff, you're my number one customer, and I know that how I treat you is how you're going to treat my customers. And I'm committing to you, as my family is, that we care about you and we respect you and we want others to do the same. Well, if I meant it, and I did, there comes a time I had to fire a customer to prove that I'm willing to stick up for them and put the money where my mouth was. To be clear, I am not advocating that you get great at firing customers. But if you're like me, and saying to your employees that they're number one, and they should be, it is your responsibility to protect them from customers who are either being unsafe, unsanitary, or downright abusive. Now, here are 4 customer behaviors and one situation that you shouldn't tolerate either, in my opinion, and how you can handle them. So number 1 is the verbal abuser. The offense is verbally abuses everyone he or she comes into contact with at the company with rude language over the phone or in person. And no, by the way, we were tough New Yorkers, so we were not that sensitive. But I'm talking about above and beyond, so you follow what I'm saying. And know that we understood that, we would talk at our meetings about, look, if we weren't us and we were them as a customer, and we have water's pouring everywhere, there's no heat, got a new baby at home, cooling, everything. It's easy to get aggravated, frustrated. We get that. And that's one thing. But when it's much more insulting or personal or always going on like this, that's a problem. So what's the remedy? The remedy to this is the owner or the manager visits in person or calls that customer, at the very least directly. Don't ever do this in email or text. You start by saying something like I used to. Now, we understand everyone has a bad day. But so far, you've yelled at everyone you've come into contact with, and not just once, more than once. And frankly, that's not acceptable to my employees or me. So it needs to stop. We can continue to care for your plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical needs, as we always have. That said, if it continues to happen, as we've spoken today, we're going to respectfully decline to do service here, and you're free to use whoever else you want. Now, if they like you, and they like what your company does for them, the abuse aside, my experience has been most of these customers will reform. A lot of times they didn't know what they were doing, but now it's at their point that they understand. And if not, then at least your customers, your staff, know that you will stick up for them. Number 2 is the constant price shopper. Now, the offense is they know the price ahead of time. They sign the invoice of the proposal. Then they call the very next day after the work is done And even though they signed everything, including the exit checklist, they want to renegotiate the price. So the remedy, I would call them or have my managers and visit, and I'd say the following to them. Did our tech go over your options? Did they quote the price before they started so you could approve it? Did they do an expert repair, and is what they came to do done right and working the right way? And if the answer is yes to all of that, then our company has a policy called Shop Once, which means I'm happy to make any adjustment if you feel we fell short. But know that I'm making a note in your customer file basically that says we've talked. And if you call again, and we hope you will, the price is the price. And the reason the price is the price is it's in your best interest. This is what allows us to train our staff in-house, not at your home. We can answer our phones 24/7, 365, which we do. We have fully stocked trucks. We have the best in the way of technology. In all of these things are important, especially for yourself. We are the right value, even if we aren't the cheapest price. Number 3, the unsanitary slob. Now, this is not a judgment. Well, maybe a little. The offense is the work site is so littered, or it may be full of animal feces or worse. And the remedy, again, is a visit or at least a phone call to gently explain your home, and in particular the areas that we're called upon to work on, have been flagged by our staff as being unsafe and unsanitary. Now, we take protecting their health and safety as seriously as we take protecting yours. So when we do our work, you'll need to know that you have to clean up the area where we work to make sure that it's safe for us to come. And we're happy to stop back and check to make sure that it is the case, because honestly, we'd love to continue doing service for you and provide you with the top-notch service. My experience again is most people will be a little bit embarrassed, but they will do it. And if they refuse, that's okay. You need to formalize notice that we won't be doing service there, and they are free to call someone else. So number 4, I call them the skater. And what I mean by the skater is someone who's trying to slip by us, calling on nights and weekends, figuring we wouldn't catch them. And really what it is time to show me the money. So the offense is they call for service, they have work done, but haven't paid the bill, or they stopped credit card or something of that nature. The remedy is to have the CSR inform the customer that they have been flagged in the system and that the previous bill must be paid before any service can be performed. So a quick story here. We had made a list of people we were not going to service anymore for various reasons, and which we called the red list. CSRs were supposed to be very discreet about this and not really talk about the red list. But once in a while, on occasion, even though we do a lot of training, a brand new CSR, sure enough, would slip up. So one of them actually said, "I'm sorry, we can't service you because you're on the red list." The customer said, "Well, what's the red list? And more importantly, how do I get off of it?" The CSR told them that they would have to come, when we come out, we'd have to get cash for the bill that's in arrear, and the money for the current work would have to be paid the same way before we began. Number 5 is the unsafe situation. Now, sometimes it's not a person, but it's a situation that you have to walk away from. An example of this was, in my own experience, we stopped doing rooftop heating units in the dead of winter. And the reason is when I would go up to do a service call in super cold weather and skating across the roof as it was, it got so cold I couldn't think. And I said, you know what, if I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to have my people. It's just too risky, and it's really work that we shouldn't be doing. So if you're in a contracting business and it's very new, be aware. I understand you need to say yes to everyone at first. I get it. To earn the right to be choosy, though, which is where you want to go, you need to hone your craft and you need to get better at things like marketing. So the other thing you need to do is figure out what costs there are to be in business and engage enough money in marketing so that you create more calls than you can humanly do in a day from the right customer at the right time so that you can be picky. If you're not good at sales and marketing, frankly, you won't have the guts to do what I've just talked about. Having more calls coming in than you can do gives you the strength and the ability to pick and choose where you're going. But if it's too abusive or too unsanitary or too dangerous, you may want to consider saying no anyway to make room for the customers who will behave in the way you want and deserve to be treated.